The perpetual twilight still clung to the mist-laden woods, where an eternal fog hung like a funeral shroud over a lost age. Kalen, a name long forgotten, opened his eyes. All he saw was the gray decay of ancient stone and a somber sky devoid of any sunlight. His memory was a chaotic jumble of fragments, fleeting images of a distant land, a betrayed oath, and a light that had faded. He was the tarnished, exiled from the lands between, stripped of the Erdtree's grace. Now he had returned for reasons unknown, propelled solely by a primal instinct, an unseen call from the depths of his soul. Kalen's body ached, every fiber protesting as if it had endured centuries of cold slumber in the earth. He rose, dust and fragments of time flaking from his worn leather armor. A rusted sword and a wooden shield lay beside him, the crudest of armaments for a journey he never desired. Limgrave stretched before him, a land once prosperous, now merely the skeletal remains of its past grandeur. Ruined castles clawed at the sky like colossal skeletons, crumbling bridges spanned yawning chasms, and the air hung heavy with the scent of death, of rusted steel and the dust of ages. He walked, each step heavy on the parched ground. Limgrave's terrifying silence was broken only by the wind whistling through rocky crevices like the whispers of 1,000 imprisoned souls. Kalen was not alone. He sensed the presence of other creatures, monstrous beings warped by the cataclysmic event that had torn the Elden Ring apart and plunged the lands between into chaos. Grafted scions wandered, their grotesque forms crudely stitched together from disparate flesh and bone, wielding crude weapons made from the unfortunate. Kalen had to learn to fight instantly. His first sword swing was clumsy, his first shield block awkward. But with each skirmish, he felt something awaken within him, a harsh survival instinct and a thirst for power. Every time an enemy fell, a mysterious energy, runes, flowed into his body, easing the pain and bringing a vague sense of growth. Kalen's journey led him to his first sight of grace, a faint golden flame burning amidst the ruins. Touching it, a strange serenity enveloped him, minor wounds vanished and fatigue melted away. But more astonishing was the appearance of a young woman. She sat opposite him, cloaked in dark fabric, her face hidden in shadow, only her eyes glowing strangely. "You are the Tarnished," her voice resonated, soft yet authoritative. "You have lost grace, and now it guides you." "Who are you?" Kalen asked, his voice hoarse from disuse. "I am Melina. I have seen potential within you, a smoldering ember yearning to ignite. I offer you a bargain. I shall become your maiden, granting you the power to channel runes into true strength. In return, you will take me to the foot of the Erdtree, to the place where my destiny calls." Kalen looked at her, not fully understanding her purpose or the deeper meaning of this pact. But he felt an irresistible urge. "I accept," he said. And so Melina became his companion, albeit a spirit, a mysterious presence. She appeared at sites of grace, helping him to transmute runes into power, enhancing his physical prowess, spirit, and combat abilities. With Melina's guidance, Kalen was no longer a mere survivor, he was a warrior. The passage through Limgrave wasn't just about battles. He met Var, a mysterious man in a white mask who mocked him for his lack of grace yet offered veiled advice on hunting demigods and their great runes. He met Roderica, a lost and grieving young woman, who later became a spirit tuner at the Round Table, hold a mystical sanctuary that Melina had opened for him. The Round Table hold was an oasis of calm amidst the chaos where he met other Tarnished, each with their own goals and stories. FIA, the Deathbed Companion, D, Hunter of the Dead, and Sir Gideon Ofnir, the All-Knowing, who relentlessly sought knowledge of the demigods and the secrets of the lands between. Kalen's first objective was Stormvale Castle, the fortress of Godric the Grafted, the first demigod he had to face. Stormvale was a deadly labyrinth of crumbling stone walls, winding staircases, and dark corridors. Twisted Godric soldiers and other grotesque creatures patrolled every corner. Kalen had to contend with colossal stormhawks, crazed bomb throwers, and fearsome Crucible Knights, elite warriors of an ancient age, now living statues of brutality. He learned to use the environment to his advantage, seeking out secret passages and shortcuts that Var had hinted at. In the depths of Stormvale, Kalen faced Godric the Grafted. This demigod was a horrific reflection of decay. A grotesque body grafted from countless severed arms and legs, pulsating masses of flesh moving sickeningly. The stench of blood and madness emanated from him. "You are but tarnished scum," Godric roared, his voice raspy like grinding stones. "You dare challenge a demigod? I will graft you to my collection." The battle with Godric was a bloody lesson in brutality and determination. Godric swung his colossal axe, creating powerful shockwaves. He curled into a ball, rolling like a destructive tank, crushing everything in his path. Kalen dodged, rolled, and launched quick attacks into gaps in his defense. He felt the power of runes coursing through his veins, allowing him to move faster, hit harder. When Godric was gravely wounded, he performed a horrifying act, severing one of his own arms and grafting the head of a dead dragon onto it, spewing destructive fire. Kalen had to adapt to overcome the horror. He used Godric's own fire against him, seeking cover behind pillars and striking when he exposed himself. The battle was prolonged, every moment a struggle for survival. Finally, with a devastating finishing blow, Kalen plunged his sword through Godric's grotesque heart. The demigod let out a final roar, his massive body crashing down, and a brilliant surge of golden energy, a great rune, burst from his corpse and flowed into Kalen. With the first great rune in hand, a sense of triumph mixed with revulsion washed over Kalen. He had overcome the first trial, but at the cost of a piece of his humanity. Melina appeared, her gaze filled with admiration. "You have proven your worth, Kalen. The path ahead is long and arduous, but with this great rune, you have stepped into the struggle for the Elden Lord's throne." Kalen looked at the great rune in his palm. It was a fragment of supreme power, a mark of the Elden Lord. But it was also a burden, a reminder of the madness and ruin that had consumed the lands between. He wasn't sure if he wanted that throne, but a part of him had been drawn into the vortex of power and destiny. Leaving Stormvale, Kalen headed towards Liurnia of the Lakes, the land of water and magic. He had heard of Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, another demigod who presided over the Raya Licarian Academy. Rumors about her were different from Godric. She was not a bloodthirsty madman, but a great sorceress, trapped in madness by grief and obsession with the past. Kalen felt an inexplicable urge to learn more about magic, about the secrets hidden beneath Liurnia's waters, and about the ancient stars. His path was now not just survival. It was exploration, a hunt for knowledge and power to face what awaited him ahead. Night fell over Liurnia, thousands of lights twinkling on the lake's surface, like stars fallen to earth, beckoning Kalen to the mysteries of this land. He knew that every step, every battle, every great rune he collected would bring him closer to the terrifying truth behind the Elden Ring's collapse and the fate of the Elden Lord. Liurnia of the Lakes greeted Kalen with an enchanting yet perilous beauty. Instead of Limgrave's barren fields and ruined castles, this was a vast freshwater sea, covered by mist and colossal lotus flowers. Towering trees reached for the sky, their trunks covered in moss and magical ribbons. This serenity, however, was deceptive. Colossal giant lobsters roamed the waters, aggressive land octopuses hid in the swamps, and above all, the Raya Licarian Academy, a fortress of knowledge yet also a prison for countless mad sorcerers. Melina had explained to Kalen about Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. She was once a great scholar who married Radagon and bore 3 demigods: Rykard, Radon, and Runni. After Radagon abandoned her to become the new Elden Lord, Renala plunged into grief and madness, clinging to a great rune, the great rune of the full moon, and immense power connected to the stars and sorcery. Renala is not a bloodthirsty madwoman like Godric, Melina told Kalen at a sight of grace. She is a broken mother, but her power is still a formidable challenge. Prepare yourself for a different kind of combat. Kalen had to traverse Liurnia, a vast and intricate land. He rode his spirit steed, Torrent, through muddy paths, dodging bright blue magical projectiles launched by distant scholars. He explored flooded caves, seeking ancient secrets and forgotten spells. He also encountered new characters: Hyetta, a blind maiden searching for the taste of severed eyes; Bloody Finger Hunter Yura, a crusader against those who wield blood magic; and especially Runni the Witch, another enigmatic demigod, who granted him the spirit calling bell and encouraged him to delve deeper into the mysteries of night and the stars. Runni's questline began to unfold, revealing an alternative path, a different destiny Kalen might pursue. Accessing the Raya Licarian Academy was far from easy. Kalen had to seek the Academy's glintstone key, guarded by a colossal glintstone dragon. The battle with the dragon was a test of patience and strategy, as Kalen had to dodge its deadly magical breaths and find opportunities to strike its weak points. After defeating the dragon and obtaining the key, he finally set foot inside the academy. Inside the academy, Kalen felt lost in a labyrinth of knowledge and madness. Twisted scholars, magical puppets, and trapped spirits roamed the halls. Spells flew through the air, creating a symphony of light and death. Kalen had to use every skill he had learned, from direct combat to stealth and puzzle solving, to overcome the academy's layers of defense. He faced Carrion Nightmungrum, a master swordsman, and the Red Wolf of Radagon, a powerful magical beast. Finally, Kalen reached the Grand Library, where Renala held court. She sat there, amidst thousands of books and floating scholar puppets, wielding her staff to summon countless magical entities, from showers of shooting stars to sharp crystal blades. The first phase of the Renala battle was a chaotic spectacle. She was surrounded by her children, warped scholars she embraced. Kalen had to find and eliminate the specific scholars protecting Renala's shield. Each time a scholar was defeated, her shield would weaken, allowing Kalen to approach and deal damage. Renala did not fight with Godric's brutality, but her magic was incredibly potent, engulfing the battlefield in explosions and deadly rays of light. When Renala's shield completely shattered, Phase 2 began. Renala ascended to the heavens, bathed in the full moon's glow, summoning destructive spells and even the spirits of fallen heroes like Radagon or legendary creatures like dragons. Kalen had to dodge colossal waves of magic, attacks from summoned spirits, and find ways to strike her during her moments of vulnerability. This battle was not just about strength, but also about perseverance, understanding of magic, and the ability to evade. Finally, Kalen delivered a potent blow, weakening her. Renala slumped, not in death, but in a state of mental collapse, the great rune of the full moon still in her grasp, but no longer bound by madness. Kalen had won without having to kill her. He took Renala's great rune. Moonlight shone upon it, making it shimmer like a precious gem. With 2 great runes in hand, Kalen felt power surging within him, but he also sensed the complexity of the lands between. Not every demigod was a mere enemy. Some were victims, trapped by their own destinies. Leaving Liurnia, Melina suggested Kalen proceed to Caelid, a land cursed by the Scarlet Rot, where Radon, the Star Courage General, one of the strongest demigods, held sway. Rumors of Radon had spread throughout the lands between, a great warrior who had mastered gravitational magic to hold the stars in place, preventing them from falling. But now he too had succumbed to the Scarlet Rot, becoming a maddened monster trapped in unending torment. Caelid was a shock to Kalen. The air was thick with the stench of rot, decaying flesh, and a viscous red fluid. The land was barren, cracked, stained red by the Scarlet Rot. Monsters warped by the disease roamed everywhere, massive dogs with fungal growths, grotesque vultures, and even more abominable creatures. Caelid's sky was perpetually blood-red, devoid of sunlight, only toxic clouds swirling. Kalen felt a deep revulsion as he traversed this land, but he knew he had to cross it to face Radon. He arrived at Redmane Castle, a colossal military fortress where the Radon Festival was held. This was not a deserted castle, but a vibrant place, albeit in disarray. Kalen met many other characters there: Blade, the half-wolf, loyal to Runni, Alexander, the colossal Jarbairn, always seeking great battles, and other warriors, all gathered here to face Radon in a festival of combat honoring him. The battle with Radon was unlike anything Kalen had experienced before. It was a vast battlefield where dozens of warriors participated simultaneously. Radon, a colossal figure of grandeur and tragedy, rode his tiny steed, Leonard, whom he cherished so much he refused to abandon even as his body was ravaged by the disease. He swung his 2 colossal swords, generating gravitational shockwaves and firing bolts of energy from afar. He could launch himself into the sky like a meteor, plummeting down with destructive force. Kalen had to fight alongside the other heroes. He summoned Blade, Alexander, and the spirits of other warriors, facing the general together. The battle was a race for survival as Kalen constantly dodged Radon's devastating attacks, seeking opportunities to deal damage and support his allies. He felt the power of the Great Rune of the Grafted and the Great Rune of the Full Moon surging within him, granting him the strength and agility needed to survive in this chaotic battle. After a long and brutal battle, Radon finally fell. His death was not a roar of triumph, but a long, agonizing sigh, a release from the shackles of the Scarlet Rot. As Radon collapsed, an immense burst of energy erupted, and in the Caelid sky, the stars he had long held captive began to fall, tearing through the night and creating colossal craters across the lands between. Another great rune was Kalen's. It did not bring the sense of victory like Godric or the relief like Renala. It carried a profound sadness, a reminder of forgotten greatness and tragic fates. Kalen stood amidst the ravaged battlefield, his gaze fixed on the sky where stars were plummeting. He had collected 3 great runes, and each told a different story of decay, power, and tragedy. Melina appeared beside him, her gaze equally pensive. "You have come far, Kalen. New paths have opened by Radon's fall. Now, you are strong enough to face the deeper secrets of the lands between greater foes and harder choices." Kalen looked towards the horizon, where the falling stars created yawning chasms, opening paths to forgotten underground kingdoms. He had attained incredible power, but he also began to realize that becoming Elden Lord was not merely about collecting great runes. It was a struggle of will, of destiny, and of shaping the future of a broken world. The road ahead was long, and every step would bring him closer to the terrifying truth behind the Erd Tree, the will of the Outer Gods, and the true nature of the shattered Elden Ring. He was no longer just an anonymous tarnished, he was a rising force, a flicker of hope, or a potential flame of destruction. The fate of the lands between now hinged on the choices he would make.